Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for another shop update from OTR Customs. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce our buggy project and go over the progress we've made on it so far. We weren't completely sure what the plan was with it when we picked it up, but I couldn't pass up the deal. We have since decided to turn it into a two-seat buggy for my son. It did run and drive when we picked it up, with only a few minor issues. It actually ran really well when we got it, but it didn't have electric start, which we really wanted, and who couldn't use some more power? So we had to decide what a good engine option would be without, spending a ton of money, but still get a little more power. So we made a trip to Harbor Freight and came home with a 670 Predator. So of course the next step is figuring out how we're going to fit everything in. Obviously this engine was quite a bit bigger than the others, so we had to do a little bit of work, but we made a new engine mount plate. And my son is always excited about more power. And if you didn't know, the 670 is actually a V-twin. We've got the clutch mostly set up. We were able to take some measurements and get online and figure out a fuel cell that fit the space. Want to get the most volume we could without sticking out of the roll cage. I was able to find a pretty cheap muffler on Amazon and get the exhaust welded up. It's just tacked together right now, but we'll finish that up once we know for sure that it's exactly where we need it. So we're at the point where we started bending some tube for the roll cage. Just wanted to show a few pictures and a little video clips of that process. We started by cutting some of what we're not going to use off the old cage and mocking up our seats as to how we wanted the two seats laid out, so we know our space for the roll cage. There's kind of a drawing of what we're planning on, kind of the basic layout of the roll cage. And then I just made some copper mock-up pieces just to figure out what shape we want the tube to be bent to. And then we start bending tube. As you saw in that last clip, I have an air over hydraulic set up on a manual bender, which works really nice. I mark the bends as I go, so since I'm having to make a second piece that matches, I want to be able to get the same bends, so I marked the die 1, 2, and 3 for those bends. And that makes them really easy to duplicate on the other piece for the other side of the buggy. This is some more video of finishing up the second two bends. As you can see, I'm holding the copper line next to it, and then I mark the die when I reach the point that I want the bend to. We've got our mock-up piece here. We had it pinched to the cage here, so we'll leave an extra 6 inches or so just to make sure we have enough to notch.
Yep.
And here I'm just holding up the finished piece to the buggy to make sure the bends are where I want them. So we got the other piece bent, as you can see it's sitting over here on the floor. So instead of using the copper tube to match it, of course we'll use that piece. And we marked our spots on the die for each bend and numbered them 1 through 3, so we know this is bend number 1, next one's number 2, and so on. So we'll start bending the second piece. And of course now, instead of matching up to the copper tubing, we're just looking for the number on the die, looking for that number 1. My son's always right next to me wanting to know why I'm doing what I'm doing, so I'm always happy to show them. And as you can see, the copper tube and marking the die method works pretty well. These are the two pieces set next to each other. You can see they matched up pretty well. And here's just a few pictures of my son helping me get those pieces welded onto the buggy. So of course we'll continue the cage in the next video, but you can kind of get an idea of how things are going to take shape. Before I wrap up this video, I want to give a shout out to DeWalt. This is only some of the DeWalt brand tools we use in the shop on a regular basis. I've tried some other brands over the years, but came to a point where when I need a tool, the first thing I do is see if DeWalt makes it. I love how long their batteries last during each use, as well as the years of service each battery provides, and the versatility to use the DeWalt batteries with any of their many cordless tools. I hope you've enjoyed another video update from On the Rocks Customs. We'll see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, where we'll keep you posted on the continued progress on the buggy. We show what we have done on the MR2 since we got it back from paint, as well as lots of other projects going on in the shop. Thank you for your continued support, and have a blessed day.